Random House Audio presents A Dance with Dragons, Book 5 of A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. Martin, read for you by Roy Dotrice. Prologue. The night was rank with the smell of man. The warg stopped beneath a tree and sniffed, his grey-brown fur dappled by shadow. A sigh of piney wind brought the man scent to him, over fainter smells that spoke of fox and hare, seal and stag, even wolf. Those were man smells, too, the warg knew, the stink of old skins, dead and sour, ne'er drowned beneath the stronger scents of smoke and blood and rot. Only man stripped the skins from other beasts and wore their hides and hair. Wargs have no fear of man as wolves do. Hate and hunger coiled in his belly, and he gave a low growl, calling to his one-eyed brother, to his small, sly sister. As he raced through the trees, his pack-mates followed hard on his heels. They had caught the scent as well. As he ran, he saw through their eyes, too, and glimpsed himself ahead. The breath of the pack puffed warm and white from long grey jaws. Ice had frozen between their paws, hard as stone. But the hunt was on now, the prey ahead. Flesh, the warg thought, meat. A man alone was a feeble thing, big and strong with good sharp eyes, but dull of ear and deaf to smells. Deer and elk and even hares were faster, bears and boars fiercer in a fight. But men in packs were dangerous. As the wolves closed on the prey, the warg heard the wailing of a pup, the crust of last night's snow breaking under clumsy man-paws, the rattle of hard skins, and the long grey claws men carried. "Swords," a voice inside him whispered. "Spears." The trees had grown icy teeth, snarling down from the bare brown branches. One eye ripped through the undergrowth, spraying snow. His pack-mates followed, up a hill and down the slope beyond, until the wood opened before them and the men were there. One was female. The fur-wrapped bundle she clutched was her pup. "Leave her for last," the voice whispered. "The males are the danger." They were roaring at each other as men did, but the warg could smell their terror. One had a wooden tooth as tall as he was. He flung it, but his hand was shaking, and the tooth sailed high. Then the pack was on them. His one-eyed brother knocked the tooth-thrower back into a snowdrift and tore his throat out as he struggled. His sister slipped behind the other male and took him from the rear. That left the female and her pup for him. She had a tooth too, a little one made of bone, but she dropped it when the warg's jaws closed around her leg. As she fell, she wrapped both arms around her noisy pup. Underneath her furs, the female was just skin and bones, but her dugs were full of milk. The sweetest meat was on the pup. The wolf saved the choicest parts for his brother. All around the carcasses, the frozen snow turned pink and red as the pack filled its bellies. Leagues away, in a one-room hut of mud and straw, with a thatched roof and a smoke hole and a floor of hard-packed earth, Varamir shivered and coughed and licked his lips. His eyes were red, his lips cracked, his throat dry and parched, but the taste of blood and fat filled his mouth, even as his swollen belly cried for nourishment. "A child's flesh," he thought, remembering Bump. "Human meat." Had he sunk so low as to hunger after human meat? He could almost hear Hagen growling at him. "Men may eat the flesh of beasts, and beasts the flesh of men, but the man who eats the flesh of man is an abomination." Abomination. That had always been Hagen's favourite word. Abomination, abomination, abomination. To eat of human meat was abomination. To mate as wolf with wolf was abomination. And to seize the body of another man was the worst abomination of all. Hagen was weak, afraid of his own power. He died weeping and alone when I ripped his second life from him. Varamir had devoured his heart himself. He taught me much and more, and the last thing I learned from him was the taste of human flesh. That was as a wolf, though. He had never eaten the meat of man with human teeth. He would not grudge his pack their feast, however. The wolves were as famished as he was, gaunt and cold and hungry, and the prey, 2 men and a woman, a babe in arms, fleeing from defeat to death. They would have perished soon in any case, from exposure or starvation. This way was better, quicker, a mercy. A mercy, he said aloud. His throat was raw, but it felt good to hear a human voice, even his own. The air smelled of mould and damp. The ground was cold and hard, and his fire was giving off more smoke than heat. He moved as close to the flames as he dared, coughing and shivering by turns, his side throbbing where his wound had opened. Blood had soaked his breeches to the knee and dried into a hard brown crust. Thistle had warned him that might happen. "I sewed it up the best I could," she'd said. "But you need to rest and let it mend, or the flesh will tear open again." Thistle had been the last of his companions, a spear-wife tough as an old root, warty, wind-burnt and wrinkled. The others had deserted them along the way. One by one they fell behind or forged ahead, making for their old villages, or the milk-water, or hard home, or a lonely death in the woods. Varamir did not know and could not care. I should have taken one of them when I had the chance, one of the twins, or the big man with the scarred face, or the youth with the red hair. He had been afraid, though. One of the others might have realized what was happening. Then they would have turned on him and killed him, and Hagen's words had haunted him, and so the chance had passed. After the battle there had been thousands of them struggling through the forest, hungry, frightened, fleeing the carnage that had descended on them at the wall. Some had talked of returning to the homes that they'd abandoned, others of mounting a second assault upon the gate, but most were lost, with no notion of where to go or what to do. They had escaped the black-cloaked crows and the knights in their grey steel, but more relentless enemies stalked them now. Every day left more corpses by the trails. Some died of hunger, some of cold, some of sickness. Others were slain by those who had been their brothers in arms when they marched south with Mance Rayder, the king beyond the wall. "Mance is fallen," the survivors told each other in despairing voices. "Mance is taken. Mance is dead." "Harmer's dead, and Mance is captured. The rest run off and left us," Thistle had claimed, as she was sewing up his wound. "Tormund, the Weeper, Sixskins, all them brave raiders, where are they now?" "She does not know me," Varamir realized then, and why should she? Without his beasts he did not look like a great man. "I was Varamir Sixskins, who broke bread with Mance Rayder." He had named himself Varamir when he was 10. "A name fit for a lord, a name for songs, a mighty name, and fearsome." Yet he had run from the crows like a frightened rabbit. The terrible Lord Varamir had gone craven, but he could not bear that she should know that, so he told the spear-wife that his name was Hagen. Afterwards he wondered why that name had come to his lips, of all those he might have chosen. "I ate his heart and drank his blood, and still he haunts me." One day, as they fled, a rider came galloping through the woods on a gaunt white horse, shouting they should all make for the milk-water, that the Weeper was gathering warriors to cross the Bridge of Skulls and take the Shadow Tower. Many followed him, more did not. Later a dual warrior in fur and amber went from cookfire to cookfire, urging all the survivors to head north and take refuge in the valley of the Thenns. Why he thought they would be safe there, when the Thenns themselves had fled the place, Varamir never learned, but hundreds followed him. Hundreds more went off with a woods witch, who'd had a vision of a fleet of ships coming to carry the free folk south.
We must seek.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?